Welcome to the Business and Bud Show. You know it's time. Start thinking like a winner when you get online. Streaming audio and video to get you primed for a future of success, a life you design. Business and Buds is the online show for people who want to learn about creating a thriving business and a thriving network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business and Buds Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Business and Buds, producer Pat and Mr. Michael Bryant, the Michael Bryant. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. How about yourself?
Beautiful. I can't complain. I could, but zero ROI in that move. And that's kind of what we were talking about a little bit before we hopped on, what our topic is today, and that is the entitlement in America. It is September 11th today as well, folks. September 11th. I remember being in the dining hall at the University of Missouri and hearing, I don't think that there were TVs. Maybe there were. I can't remember specifically. I think that there were TVs because I was a spoiled kid. I was spoiled, entitled kid. The difference is I'm willing to admit it. And so, we were like, what is going on? A plane just ran into a building. I mean, that was unheard of. It's still pretty unheard of. It's unfucking believable that it even happened, but it did happen. And I remember looking up and being like, what is going on? Like, is there going to be more? Is this an isolated thing? Is our whole country under attack? What is going on right now?
Yeah.
And immediately classes were canceled for the day. Immediately, I think it was later in the week, like today's a Friday. I'd have to look specifically. September 11th, 2001. Let's find out with our handy dandy computer here. September 11th, 2001. What day was it? Tuesday. What? I think it was too. Now you're right. I think you're right.
I remember
Tuesday.
Exactly.
Mike gets the history award. Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. Anyway, Pentagon, World Trade Center. There was another plane that went down in, I think it was out in your area, right? Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, the moral of the story of me bringing that up is obviously today is September 11th. We're part of the never forgotten crew. We love America and what America stands for. And so we remember the tragic deaths of those that served, the firefighters and all those people that risked their lives, gave their lives to save lives. Also, what happened after September 11th was people came together. All different colors, all different backgrounds, all different areas to stand under the flag of the United States, okay, and be Americans and say, hey, we're gonna love each other and create unity and provide hope for those who have lost loved ones and continue to provide freedom and fight for freedom, because this country is the last standing country on earth that gives you the opportunities to do what you're able to do, why we're able to say what we want to say on this show. So I think that since then, there hasn't been an incident like that. I mean, that number one was historical. That and Pearl Harbor were probably the two most dynamic incidents of American soil attacks. But we're getting soft. Let's just say it. We're getting soft. Do you think that the people of 2020 would be able to load up into a boat, college kids and 25-year-olds load up into a boat and go across seas and fight communism on the beaches in Normandy?
Fuck no. So I want to talk about getting soft and entitlement all in the same thing. And I have a very.
So I wanted to lead in with the significance of the day, which is important, but also the fact that this topic was what you wanted to talk about today, which goes right into this soft, booty society that we're in today, where everybody's feelings are hurt over nothing.
Yes. So I had 2 incidents today. I had to fire 2 people today.
Not everybody's feelings, but a lot of you guys are crying about nothing. Anyway, go ahead.
I had to fire 2 people today because of this. So one gentleman works for me in the affiliate space. I put it on my Instagram story. I didn't call them out. I didn't call out their name. I'm not going to do it on here. That's not an appropriate business move.
No, I mean, we're not talking smack about people personally here.
No. It just reminded me of the lesson. One person that's. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I need router reform. So
bad. You need router reform bad. Somebody sponsor this.
Side note, it is getting installed next week. So if you're watching this, we have already had a studio for probably the past 2 or 3 weeks. Fast forward to the new episodes. But this guy is in a chat, and there's a tracking issue with the funnel for a client. And it's pretty simple to fix. It happens all the time. Right. This guy starts messaging my tech and is insulting him about all this shit. I'm like, that's not going to fly. So I call him, I call my dev, I call them separately, and I say, hey, look, like, you guys need to work together. Can you both apologize and move forward on this? The one guy who's the affiliate says, he swore at me. He literally said WTF ? After he said you insulted him. So he was just confused. Boy. And then from there, he said, hey, you literally said this word. This grown-ass man had the audacity to tell me that those 2 things were personal triggers for him. And that's why he proceeded to insult my developer, and that he hated those words. My response was, are you fucking kidding me? You are a grown goddamn man, and you literally can't handle words. How hard did that word literally just fucking affect you right now? And He was like, well, it's this, this, and this. And I said, look, dude, you give us 7 sales a day for this client. I have another person who can give them 500 a day. You don't understand what your value is. And you should be happy that I'm giving you an opportunity to take these sales. That was one example. Then my next fucking example is my landscaper. I'm not going to call him out either. I prepay him every month for the lawn for the whole fucking time. He sends me 3 fucking text messages in 6 hours, basically while I'm still asleep. Like, hey, where is my payment? Blah, 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 blah. Motherfucker, it was $50 for the one time that you paid. And I've prepaid you every fucking month before that. So the thing that I did whenever I woke up and I saw those text messages, I didn't respond because that would be foolish. I'm angry. I'm not going to respond. I call.
Yeah, you don't want to ream his ass, say the wrong thing, right?
Yeah, no. So I call 3 other landscapers, and then I prepare for him to be like, fuck you, and try to replace me. The reality is there's so many more landscapers that want money and will come and shut the fuck up and do what I want them to do. And they will charge me a bill 30 days later. They're not going to request money from me every fucking minute of every day. So you coming off as desperate doesn't appeal to someone like me.
Well, and we talked about that too. We talked about that too as a sales tactic. Is Brad Lee has emphasized this extensively, as the power of leverage in a sale is the person that doesn't care as much is the one who gets the most sales. I've struggled with that because I do care. I do want sales. I want to push for closes and stuff. And you know, when you like people and you like what you do, you want as many deals as possible. But there is a line, especially with somebody that's already paying you. And for someone who's brought you as much business, Yeah, and someone who's brought you as much business as Michael has, you just it's you start to get a little bit soft. You start to kick your feet up and thinking that you're above the above the line too far, and you can be humbled very quickly, because just as much as it's you build your business 5-10 years, build your reputation 10-15-20 years, you can fuck it up in the matter of 20 seconds.
Yep.
So you got to be real careful with the shit that you say. And especially with us, I mean, we're pretty big mouth guys. We'll eventually be doing this show live, but we're pretty good at, we're not piece of shit assholes anyway. So it doesn't bother me to go live because we don't have anything to hide.
Correct.
But you start to find out a lot about people when they're under the gun a little bit, or when the game's on the line, or you need somebody to overproduce. Yesterday, I had a friend call me, Dan Henry. He'll probably come on the show. He's got a book everyone should buy, Digital Millionaire Secrets. He's actually been one of the people that has really helped me push my talents and skills to digital. He was the first person years ago to ever even order a custom song for me. He paid me $1,500 to write a song for him, and the song was called Fuck You. And I literally sang "fuck you" over and over and over and over again. And he paid me $1,500 for the song. And I was like, holy shit, this crazy idea of me making songs and commercials and producing stuff for entrepreneurs works, man. It works. And yesterday he posted something up on his Facebook page, and hey, I need somebody to edit some audio or whatever. And I just called him up right away. And I was like, hey, dude, I mean, fire me the files. I'll have them done in a couple hours for you. And so he fired me the files. And what he does is he records the audio, and it records to one track. So I might run into this issue with our stuff because our stuff records down to one track. It's not separate tracks. But what the problem was is that whatever he used, this automates the settings pretty well. I use StreamYard, by the way. If anyone's interested in what we use, there's a service called StreamYard.com. I pay for the $25 a month so I can add any logos I want in the corner. I suggest if you want to be professional and use StreamYard to do that, or they put their logo on your stuff and you look like a fucking cheapskate, especially if you're servicing clients. I mean, for $25 a month, I look way more professional to a client. Michael pays me for the service. So not only do I get to enjoy what I love to do, Michael pays me every month. So do I want to look like a fucking cheapskate or not? It's something you guys should think about. $25 can save you looking like a douchebag when somebody calls you and wants to pay you, a couple $1,000 for your service. So it's something to think about. Well, anyway,
here's
I whipped up the audio really quick in like an hour or two, but I'm not too hot shit to see my buddy post that and not want the job. Why wouldn't I want the work?
Of course.
He needed the service. I'm pretty quick at the service. It took me about an hour and a half. I charged him a little bit of a premium because it had to be done. He needed it by noon yesterday. So I had it before then, or at that time frame. My time is behind him. So I had a little bit of a late start. But anyway, the moral of the story was I'm not too good to edit his podcast audio. I wanted the work.
For certain. I mean, like, dude, I had a girl text me yesterday, and she was having an issue with her credit card payment online. Her bank wasn't allowing the CBD charge, but she had been a customer of mine. I could have very easily been like, hey, here's customer service number, call them, because that's what I should do. Whereas instead, I took her order personally, entered it in, and she was ecstatic. So all that she needed to know was that she had to use a different credit card, whatever. I placed the order for her. It took 5 minutes out of my day, but it kept a customer that has been buying from me every single month for the past 2 years. It kept them on board. Like, I'm not too good for that. I'm not going to fuck up a customer reputation because they contacted me. They could have easily called the customer service line. They know what it is. They
Well,
had
and it's
my
just
number.
like what we're doing right now, too. You know, we were like, hey, let's launch X amount of episodes for a launch. And then, you know, we 5 times that number, which I'm excited about. I think that we should launch all these episodes as part of the launch. We're up to episode 10. We haven't even launched. So there'll be 10, 11, maybe even 12 episodes when we launch the show, which is way more than most people have when they start a show, which puts us at a huge momentum shift. All the mistakes, all the disconnect problems, the router reform and all that will have happened in the launch episodes. And now we're going to be cleaner and cleaner and cleaner when we bring it on guests and all these things moving forward. I love that. I think it's great. You know what I mean? And I think that people need to understand that the groundwork is always going to be there no matter what when you made it. When you quote unquote made it. We were talking about baseball and hockey players and all these people that focus on stretching and like basic fundamentals, the ball back and forth at the baseball park, hours before the game starts, they're warming up, doing like 6th grade fundamental foundational drills because it works.
Well, here's
basics work. People message me all the time and they're like, how are you so fast at like making skits and stuff? Well, it's not that I'm necessarily fast. It's just that I practice all the time. It still takes time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm practicing and practicing and practicing so that when Dan needs something or posts, hey, I need an audio guy, just like a few years ago, I'm on that. I'm hustling. I want to serve somebody like him. He can come on our show and a Wall Street Journal bestseller, give you guys millions of dollars of advice that you wouldn't even get from anyone else. Why? Because I put in the work to build that relationship.
No doubt.
When I've seen Dan out at events, he mentions me in the crowd while he's speaking in front of hundreds of people and helps me get gigs. Why? Because I put in the work to earn the respect. Not just that I'm good at the skill, but I put the work in to showcase the value that I can bring to him and to our friendship to help him be a great marketer. It takes time off of his hands. He could easily, let's be honest, edit that podcast on his own. He doesn't have time for it. He'd rather just pay me to do it.
So this is where those 2 conversations that I had earlier could have both people. If Chris had waited, oh shit, bleep his name. If this dude had waited until if he had waited until 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, and then said something along the lines of, hey, I mowed your grass yesterday. Can you please send over the prepayment for the next month whenever you get a chance? I know that you're busy, blah, 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 blah. The whole thing would have been different. But you text me 3 times in the past 12 hours or so since you mowed my grass to the morning while like I run 2 multi-million-dollar companies and I'm watching my kids during the day. I have other shit going on. You know for a fact that you're going to get paid. And it's $50.
Right.
Don't you think that it's smart for you to just be like hey, make sure that you get that over. You need $50 today? And if you do, you probably shouldn't be running the business that you're running because maybe you have too much overhead. Like if you are that desperate, it's bad. It doesn't make you look to me very professional at all. I don't want to work with someone that needs something so bad and then they are dependent upon me for their saving grace. I don't want that pressure and responsibility. No.
$50. Come on.
And it's like, bro, if you had literally waited, I would have prepaid you in the afternoon $200 for the next month. I do it every month. Why do you have to? So I sent him a text message back that said, hey, please don't do this again. I think that it's annoying and I don't like this. And to me, that's me being direct with someone. Like if I sent that back to you or something, you would be like, okay, fuck, I'm going to not really double down on this sword.
Well, yeah.
Because you know I'm going to pay you. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah, but you also mentioned that he's a younger kid. So he's got some 24. Years. So he's got some years to learn that when you send an invoice or when, especially someone that's already paid you,
paid you for 2 fucking years.
We'll give him a couple days. Give him a couple days. And here's a lesson for you youngsters. There's this word, you can look it up. It's called save. There's a word called save. So if you save some of your money, then you don't have to be so desperate for like $50 or $100 or 500 or $1,000 the next month, because you saved enough to know that those payments are going to come in anyway. And whatever you're spending out of the money that you saved will eventually be replaced. Replaced is another word too. Two great words to use with leveraging your money in your business is one, save. I know it's crazy term in 2020 to save money. Very smart thing to do. And then whenever you have to use that saved money, what you do is you replace it so you can kind of keep it at a certain number. Maybe so you can invest it later too.
Well, those are all big words that most people don't want to understand. So they're here.
And again, I don't consider myself some kind of financial guru.
No, but it's not
anything,
rocket science.
That's why I've survived this long. I don't spend money I don't have.
So here's another thing. I prepaid this kid for the past 2 years. Every month I prepay him $200 a month in advance. Okay. If he's not using that money that I prepaid him in advance, because I don't want to have to pay 4 fucking bills a month, it's annoying to me.
Yeah, it is.
If he's not using that money in advance to invest in his own business, or to pull that money out and invest into the stock market, or to do whatever, and he's not making that money work for him, that's not my fucking problem. And I don't feel bad for you. In fact, I feel the opposite of bad for you. I don't feel anything for you at all. I think that you need to learn that lesson the same motherfucking way that I did. I used to do that shit. And guess what? It's not becoming of you at all. Now, if you don't pay a bill for me, Owen calls you. I don't fuck around. You don't even get a call.
Owen doesn't play games.
You don't even get a call from my accounting team. Shaw doesn't call you. If you miss a payment, it's Owen calls you. And then guess what? I'll deal with it from there. I'll pay him because I don't want to think about it. But I also know that Owen wrote the contract, and he's going to let you know you're going to pay one way or the other. And that's how it goes.
Well, and this is where back to the foundational elements of building out your timeline for the day and building out your success as far as the future and all the things that are associated with it. I mean, for me right now, I'm still kind of a one-man show, which works for now. And I've got a bunch of people I do media for, and I do a lot of media for myself. At some point here soon, I'm starting to realize that there's only so much time that I even have to do any of this stuff outside of being on the camera and doing it. And so that's why I've kind of started my own little guru program that I'm going to be releasing soon that teaches people how to make content almost just as much so I can build videos and teach somebody how to do all the stuff that I do for me. Because then I can get more clips and more shows and more stuff out there. And the time to do it is just me in front of the camera. I don't have to worry about all the clicking and pulling and tugging and all that other stuff that is associated with making it look pretty, because I can build those templates for someone and they can just fill in the boxes.
Correct.
So that's part of the reason why I've put so much work into building my own content over the last few years so that I can eventually leverage that and just focus on how am I bringing the most value to the camera rather than how am I bringing the most value to the editing station. And I don't want to be an editor forever. So that's something that, Mike and I have discussed too is, I'm moving into more launching people's brands and stuff like that rather than just doing edits. Now, if Dan Henry needs edits, I will do Dan Henry's edits.
For sure. Well,
right.
That's the thing, though, that you acknowledge that the landscaper did not. And here's the reality of that. Dan Henry helped you, so you're not going to be over the top. You're not going to gouge him on price, but you're going to show what your worth is, and that's fine. But if Dan Henry did not pay you in the same day, you would have been like, well, he was probably busy and he'll shoot it to me tomorrow. You don't have to call him.
Yeah, he said, send me the invoice. So I sent him the invoice. If it would have showed up, it showed up in a couple hours, but he was probably sent it to somebody on his team real quick. He was sitting right there. But if it would have showed up on Monday, I wouldn't have cared.
No, because you got it for the work that you performed.
It so doesn't really matter when I get the money. Days. He's already uploaded the app. Here's the thing. The value that you provide should always be worth more than the money that you get anyway.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has Uncle G, Grant Cardone, gotten up on stage and said, hey, man, I mean, I've always been underpaid. I've been underpaid my whole life. If you're not underpaid, then are you really over delivering? That's something to think about, man. How can you possibly want to be overpaid? I mean, there are times where maybe I got paid a lot more than I expected, but was I really overpaid? No, absolutely not. Because I'm always over delivering.
So I'm reminded.
I think that's a mindset shift for people. Oh, I don't get paid enough, or I deserve all this free shit, and my healthcare isn't good enough. It's like, well, welcome to the fucking club, asshole.
Yeah, dude.
I've been over delivering for 20 fucking years.
One time that I did a consulting deal for, Owen will have to tell me if I can say. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a certified.
We'll call him Jimmy.
Certified billionaire, like Forbes list billionaire. Met him in
Billionaire
Vegas.
Jimmy, folks. Billionaire Jimmy.
So met him in Vegas. He has a CBD company that he's trying to get launched. We're there talking. I show him I'm just candid. I show him literally my ship station. Like, here's what's going out, fucking live time. And he's like, fuck, dude, we can't even come anywhere close to that. What are we doing wrong? And I was like, I had another meeting after that. So I technically snubbed a billionaire, but I was like, hey, I have to go take this other meeting. If you want, pay me. I'll tell you what we're doing. I don't think that anything of it. I think it's like never going to happen, whatever. 2 weeks later, I get an email. And it says, hey, I want to give you $30,000 for an hour of your time. I'm like, I don't really think so, whatever. Like, in my head, I'm like thinking about it. Like, fuck.
Yeah, you're almost talking yourself out of it.
I'm like, that's too much money. Like, how am I going to be able to provide $30,000 in value to this guy who's already a billionaire? That's what's in my head. And so I spoke to Owen, and he said, hey, you know something that this guy doesn't know. You're doing something that he can't. He's paying people for something that you can't replicate. He's like, so how can you teach him your formula in an hour? And so I spent like the next week, before I even replied back to the email, I spent the next week and I prepared everything that I do and everything that we did from inception and every pain point that we had. And so that way, whenever he asked me, I had all my notes in front of me. I knew exactly what I was going to tell him. And I wasn't egotistical or arrogant or entitled. I had spent millions of dollars to learn that. And those millions of dollars that I spent were being returned to me in an ROI that was direct to the knowledge that I had acquired from doing that. And once I learned that, my whole mindset shifted, because after we were done with the phone call, he told me that I saved him over $250,000 in supply chain.
Wow. So that's something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. When you put a bunch of time in and you develop your skill set, it can be challenging to accept that you're worth X amount of dollars in certain areas for your time, an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of your time. Like I could have probably skipped messaging. I'll bet you Dan posted that because he's like, I'm not even going to bother somebody like Pat Hilton with texting him for this gig. It's probably what he thought when he posted that. I guess I'll just like get somebody else. But I called him right away when I saw it. And he was like, oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I'll send you the files right now. Like almost like, oh, I didn't even want to bother you.
Yeah.
But because he values my time.
Correct.
And he probably thought, oh, well, that guy's probably got, you know.
Well, didn't he also set the price too for you?
For the song that I did for him a few years ago, it was kind of like a challenge. I'll pay somebody $1,500 if they sing a song called Fuck You and send it to me. The best person with the Fuck You song gets the $1,500.
And then
he said
one?
Yesterday I charged him for my time.
Oh, good. Okay. So from that, you were like, okay, if you want this done, speed it up, and you want 100. Want this, I'm going to get it to you. I will deliver by this time. Done.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, that's what I did yesterday. Yeah. So when I called him, he knew.
That's where I'm at now.
Oh, well. And then he commented on his post and said, hey, Pat Hilton had my number. So he's the one who got the deal. So sorry, everybody. Because he knew once I called him that it was going to get done right. That's why he went back on that post and posted what he posted.
It's weird now, and I get weirded out by this still. Like the other day, I posted my stats for the last month, and to me, we had the merchant accounts blow up. They were not great, whatever. But like we did just shy of $500,000, I think 457,000, something like that. I had so many people message me that were just like, this is insane. I thought that you stopped doing this. And I'm like, just because I stopped posting about it, like I post it like once a month, because like it's a reminder to myself in my stories, like this is what I did last year. So whenever I see it next year, it's okay, this is where I was at this time. And that's why I post shit like that. That's why I share any videos or rant or do any of those things. I also post memes because I think they're funny, but I think you're building a chronological time capsule, basically. You are. Of your mistakes, the things that were going well in your life at that time, the things that sucked. And as long as you're actually open about, like, no one knows that sucks. And I don't think that sales number sucks, right? But what I'm saying is, like, it sucks to me compared to the previous month. So you have to be open and honest with yourself and take some form of humility wherever you are. I recognize that whenever I posted a couple of sales stats from the year before, I posted it on my private story and I saw them. And I was happy whenever we had our first like $3,000 day. And then, for me, my story is a little bit different. Like we went straight to almost $250,000 a month in sales in the first month. And then the next month, $500,000. So like a little bit different, but like I get to look back at that and be like, okay, this is where I was then. And I looked at last month and I was like, I was here in my second month. Why am I here right now? So I had to reevaluate some things on my business and really take a step back and say, why did, blowing up 2 merchant accounts affect my sales this badly and affect my trajectory for the future? So like, I have to look at that shit too. It's just that you're talking about people get fucked up with the zeros on the end is what it comes down to. It's all the same, no matter how many fucking zeros are there.
Yeah. I've always documented. No, totally. I think that, totally not. No, totally. I've always documented where I'm at too. And that's why I've always like shared where I'm performing or something. If you can see this, it'll get in here in a minute. 8 years ago today, I was performing at a bar in St. Louis.
I can see it.
At 10 p.m. tonight, 8 years ago today. So I'm guessing that gig probably paid me like, $100, 150 if I was lucky. So, you do the math on that. How many of those jobs do you have to play to pay the rent? Just to pay the rent every month. If that's your job and that's your career, 25, pay the rent and pay the car bill and maybe have a little food to eat. So, at first, this is why we talk about how can we help you skip those types of gigs? How can we help you skip the times that I went into a place where, I had years and years and years and years of experience, but I allowed the environment and the marketplace that I was positioning myself in to dictate how much I could ask for. Now, I'm thankful for that gig. The guy that owns that place is actually a good friend of mine. The moral of the story is this digital stuff that we're doing now, it wasn't around in 2012. It wasn't around 8 years ago when I was doing that. To do what I do, you had to show up and play on a stage and charge for the hour in the hours that you were there. It was a different era of entertainment and live production. Whereas now you can go live on Facebook and you could probably make more money asking people for tips into your PayPal jar.
Yeah.
Than you could playing on the stage, even in downtown Los Angeles or something at a reputable venue, not just your neighborhood bar in the middle of Missouri. Not that place isn't a reputable venue, but you guys get the point. Times change. How are you adapting to that? And so that maybe that's my thing today too, is the entitlement of, hey, I was big in 2012 and everybody was buying my tickets and I was selling out seats. Well, it's not 2012 anymore. I consistently got better and better and better and better and better and better and used that gig to pivot and get better. I was never too good to sing in a dark corner anywhere around the country. Dark corners made me. And just because I worked for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers 5, 6, 7 years before that doesn't mean that I was too good to freaking sing at French Quarter, because I needed that fucking job. Just like I needed the fucking job from Dan yesterday. I need the work. I want the work. But the good thing about where I'm at now is I was able to do 5 different jobs yesterday, whereas I could only do one of those a day. You can only play at 1 or 2 or 3 different venues in a day. From the digital section, you can sell a gazillion packages of your e-commerce product today. There's no cap on how many you can sell.
Well, there is.
This is what I'm.
Fuck you, banks.
Well, there you go. But my point is, you can sell more than 2.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
Your time is not necessarily what you're selling.
Correct. Yes. You said one thing that was you didn't need the work, but you wanted the work. Well, right. So you said I need the work and I want the work. I don't think that ever changes, right? Like
I think they go hand in hand.
Right. Exactly. Like you've had some of your best months as of late. And you still need and want that work. It's not like I'm the same way. I've had some of my best core dev months, and I have a consultation this afternoon for another client that I hope that we get. And I say client because I already try to speak it into existence. I know that whenever we're on the phone, I can provide enough value and show enough of my back history now at this point to where he says, okay, you're the guy. So I go into the conversation. I don't go into the conversation looking for the sale. I want to find out, as a conversation, like a podcast almost, why does he want this? Once I know what makes him want it, then I know how I can handle expectations upon delivery.
Right. How you need to service him. Right.
Correct. And every person needs service differently. It's just how it goes. I often call you with impromptu times and are like, Pat, let's hop on a fucking podcast. And there's nothing on the schedule. today and probably the other 9 podcasts that we've done. I suck at it. So I do it whenever like I have something that happens and I'm thinking about something and then I'm like, man, this would be a really great time to speak with someone and share some stories with that other person. And then hopefully both of us, you and I together, exchange value with each other. And then someone else thinks that that's something, or, you know, they take some sort of action in their life. That's, to me, is what we're doing on this show. This is more like of a therapy session to me.
Oh, it's great. And I think that I was listening to a show Ed Milet did. Ed Milet's a great speaker and businessman. You guys should follow him as well. He's got some great content. And he said, man, the person that makes themselves available for success is generally the person that gets the wins and that gets the results. You know, I can't tell you how many bands I've met in the day where, you know, I saw them performing, and as a younger man, I was a little bit more judgmental than I am now, because now I know how fucking hard it is to make it. Back then, I was like, oh, these fucking guys play the same 4 chords every song, and all these fucking kids go ape shit for it. And I mean, they kind of sound like shit live, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what, dude? They recorded catchy little ditties, put out records, struggled in the bars, and did this and this and made a name for themselves, and they earned it. Now, are they the flashiest, most profound musicianship rating 10 you've ever seen? No. But boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, they made themselves available to be picked up by the label, gave the label the product and the look and the photography and the thing that they wanted to sell, made themselves sellable, and therefore sold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny to me how, like, when a group, I come from an artist and an entertainment or podcaster or singer or movie actress kind of standpoint when I look at stuff, entertainment. When someone isn't like making a whole bunch of money, I feel like people look at them and look at their worth as more sometimes, not all the time, than when they blow up and now they're making $3 million a year, or they're making $30,000 a performance, or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, he sold out. Well, good. Yeah. He fucking sold out the venue, which means that all the stagehands had work and the speaker team had work. I had work as a production manager. You're damn right they fucking sold out. They sold out of shirts. They sold out of stickers. They sold out of the whole merchandise booth of albums. They sold out of everything.
Well, here's what
they made themselves available for the success when it wasn't convenient. This was right back to square one. They were not entitled. They probably knew, hey, we're good at these 4 chords and we're good at writing hooks. That's why you never see me trying to be a fancy musician, some kind of profound artistry on most of the stuff that I sing. I bang on chords and I sing hooks because that's what I'm good at. And I've been around the music industry enough to know that that's what sells.
Yeah.
Hooks and 4 chords. Boom. I'm a huge Rush fan. Okay, cool. All you guys out there that are music nerds, I love Fish and all that kind of jam band stuff too. Real String Cheese Incident and the musicianship kind of hippie vibe thing. I can't play any of that stuff. Most people can't. But 4 chord jams sell. Are you making yourself available to sell? Are you making yourself available to get the job done? Those are the people that get the biggest shit. Taylor Swift writes 4 chord songs. She makes herself available to be the #1 artist because she doesn't write stuff that people can't digest. And the hater's gonna hate.
Yeah.
And the player's gonna play. So yeah, it's that Ed Milet lesson was profound to me. I've made myself available for gigs and productions and commercials and all this kind of stuff, even when I wasn't even getting paid anything. I was available. I delivered value, got the job done, showed up, earned a good reputation for myself. And that's why now, years and years and years and years later, I can look back on that gig 8 years ago when I was available to play. I was ready to perform that night and get paid for it. While other people maybe were complaining about how bad their job sucked, I was available to be successful at what I wanted to do. So, dude, that's something to think about, you guys. You can't ever think that you're too big or too bad for any opportunity, because that could be the opportunity that maybe you swoop in and nail it, and then 15 other things show up for you when you might have looked at it and been like, it's a shitbag gig. I don't need it. It's what day is it? It's Friday. It's 1 o'clock. I'm just going to kind of fucking loaf into the weekend. I'm going to kind of shut down early today. Maybe we'll go get some drinks at 2 o'clock and just kind of turn off. Dude, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for the last 15 or 20 years have been the cornerstone of me getting ahead in any area of my life. When you think about what industry, you think about what industry I was making it in, it was the entertainment business. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, people who work jobs are off their job and they're spending money on entertainment. So that was my hot zone, man. Thursday night through Sunday, if I could pack 10 gigs in, I was doing it. There were times in San Diego where I would play Friday night happy hour. Then you had to have a full band to play at the bars downtown. So I'd do 5 to 8 with my acoustic guitar by myself, then play 9:30 to 1 with a full band, then wake up the next morning and play brunch at 10 a.m., then do happy hour again 5 to 8, and then do like a late night gig with the band again Saturday, then wake up in the morning and do brunch, and then another happy hour gig on Sunday. Like 7 fucking gigs in a weekend. Because there were no gigs on Monday night. I had to bang it out as much as I could, because that's what I wanted to do. I made myself available and was willing to literally run a marathon through some of those weekends. Mm-hmm. And if I go back, I can find all the posters on my Facebook because I documented it all. So you guys got to make yourself available for what you want. If you're not available, you're not going to get it. For some of you, that might mean getting up at 5 a.m. and working out before you go to your job, which sucks. Trust me, I get it. It fucking sucks sometimes to do shit like that. But if that's going to give you the result that you want 6 months from now, physically and mentally, that you need, then I think that might be a decision. You need to make yourself available during those hours to put in that work, or the result might not come for you.
It won't.
So that's a really important lesson, and it goes along with this whole entitlement thing. Like, well, I don't need that, or I'm not going to do that, or this dude needs to pay. I'm going to bug this guy for this $50 because blah blah blah. It's like, dude, in the time that he spent pissing you off, he could have just gone and gotten another gig.
Well, also, like, I was going to prepay you in the afternoon, like, because I didn't have it's just fucking baffling to me that after like 2 years, you're like going to just fucking stake your stance right here, and this is where it's all going to be. It seems really strange. And that's the whole thing to me that was just like weird. And it was you
didn't really mention the back talk either. He kind of talked back to you a little bit too. I don't think you threw that in there really.
No, I didn't. But like
he was a little bit mouthy as well. So not only was he asking for payment, which there's nothing wrong with asking for payment, but
no, not at all.
A little bit mouthy with a client that you've been with for a few years shows that if that's happening on record, what's happening off the record, right? That's something to think about too. You guys got to understand. That's why, yeah, we're banging these out. We're still waiting on a final logo, or we would already probably be doing these live, but we have nothing to hide. So going live for us is not going to be an issue. We want people to log on to our channels and comment and share with us when we're doing it that way, because we don't really have anything that we want to hide from anyone. So what would be the problem of putting ourselves on the spot? If you can't be put on the spot, because you're trying to be one thing or trying to be the other thing, authenticity comes into play with this entitlement thing too, because everybody wants to act one way on the internet, and that might not necessarily be what they are.
Most oftentimes, I would say probably not.
And that's another part of the reason why I practice putting out content as much as possible. It helps me stay true to me and be better off the camera, because I'm being real and authentic on the camera. And Mike has encouraged me to be as savage as possible on spaced out news updates, especially with use of the word fuck and all of that kind of stuff. And I believe that I said yesterday, and I don't believe this is what I said, but I was covering this Netflix thing, which is a whole nother topic of how they put out this movie of cuties with all the little kids that dance like little hoes, but they're like 11 and they're showing their bodies and they're like grabbing their crotches and stuff. It's really fucked up. And I said, if you support this, then fuck you. We'll see you next time. That was the end of my news update. And it's like, I think that for a long time, I never did news updates, even though that's something I've always wanted to do my whole life, was be like the news guy that says the shit that no news person would ever possibly say.
Bro,
but I was like, I don't know. Aunt Karen might not like it, or, I don't know. I should just sing songs, because if I start covering controversial topics, people won't like me. Then they're not my customers anyway.
Yep.
They're not my customers anyway. A bunch of people that don't like your content or don't support your trajectory in life or don't support what you stand for, they're not going to buy your shit anyway. You don't want to work with those people. I mean, really, that's why we come on this show and we make fun of, again, back to entitlement, bashing the shit out of people's windows and stuff like that. Small business owners that did nothing to you because you got some kind of entitlement issue and your feelings are hurt about some fucking shit.
Or
what does that do to help anybody?
Or
we rip on that openly on this show because it's unproductive. It is not a creative solution to bring anyone together in this country. And you're an asshole. So those people aren't going to buy our shit. So we don't care if you don't like us.
Agreed.
It's a beautiful thing. It feels so good and liberating to say that.
Agreed. Well,
we don't need you.
How dumb do you fucking sound whenever you tell me that WTF, literally the letters WTF.
Well, anyone who types that looks like an idiot anyway. Right.
Like, if you're that sensitive, I'm tying it back together, but like, if you're that sensitive, you're not a person that I want to work with. There's 7 billion fucking people in the world. I don't need to talk to you ever. So for you to think that you have any sort of power over anyone else, myself included, if I annoy someone else and they don't want to talk to me, guess what? I still have 7 billion other people to speak to try and get the task that I'm trying to get done. And hopefully I learn whatever lesson I need to along the way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, that's the nail on the head right there. Ladies and gentlemen, don't ever be too good or too mouthy. By the way, there's nothing wrong with like being mouthy and confident and walking into a room and demanding fucking greatness from yourself and knocking out the opponent, becoming the champion. Dude, fuck yeah. I mean, go for the gold. But there is a line. And even as someone who's a fan of people that are like that, like even Conor McGregor at one point in his career started to reach that line with me where I was like, all right, well, for a while you were the underdog big mouth that delivered, but now you're just being a fucking drunk asshole. And it actually upset me. And then when he lost to that Khabib guy, he was in that drunk asshole kind of phase after he lost to Floyd and had made all the money and came from nothing to the biggest name in the entire industry. And I got to be honest, if I was that age and I made that move, maybe I'd be a fucking asshole in a lot more ways than one as well. But as a fan of him, I started to get a little bit disappointed with the way he was acting. And guess what? He got his fucking ass handed to him for it in the ring, because he got his ass beat by Khabib that night. He can deny it all he wants. He can come on this show and he can deny it, and I'll tell him he's wrong. But as a fan, it was disappointing because you almost knew that he wasn't going to perform well that night. Why? Because of exactly what we're talking about today. He had this idea in his head that he could just drink during training camp and get hammered at the press conference and say fuck you to the guy, and just the guy was just going to lay down for him, and that's not what happened. And in the real world, that's not what happens either. So something to think about going into this weekend is that you're not hot shit.
No, actually, that's one of the things that I've learned about myself all the time. I try to keep an open mind about that sort of things. So like if I have a really, really good month, I don't think that I'm the best. If I have a really shitty month, I don't think that I'm the worst. I just try to look at what happened over the past 30 days and say, what did I do differently? Because I document everything. What did I do differently this month than I did the month before? What changed? What happened? And what are the cause and effects that are moving forward? And if you have that sort of data, then you can move forward decisions knowing that you're going in the right way, even if numbers may come down 1 month or whatever it may be. So you just have to learn, like, if you have a shitty month, it's not the end of the world. If you have the best month that you've ever had, you're not hot shit. So don't think
and
that
you also
are.
got to understand that the goals that you have are most likely going to take a lot longer than you think they're going to take.
For
and
sure.
They're most likely going to take a lot longer than you want them to take too. So, and unless you get a string of luck, and a string of luck comes from being available for that luck to occur. Like I said, I know a lot of groups that I ran into over the years. They weren't the best players. They weren't the best looking, and they weren't the best performers, but they did a lot of other things right that put themselves in a position to be one of the top groups in those genres at that time. And that's why they got the success, and maybe other people that were better in those other categories didn't.
Well, coronavirus, you can look at it one of two ways, okay? It's either a string of luck or a string of misfortune. So, in my opinion, coronavirus has been a string of luck for me, because I could have never wanted a better fucking scenario to lock people in their homes so that way they have to shop online. I could have never dreamed it up in my wildest imagination. So everyone can think that I'm a fucking asshole for saying that coronavirus is excellent. It's excellent in one capacity for me, and I'm speaking about this very literally, that it puts more people shopping online.
Right.
It is not excellent for me in supply chain. It is not excellent for me in people dying. I don't want people to die. This is a real virus, like we said. I don't want anyone to die. But my whole point is, I could have never created a better perfect fucking storm if I dreamed of it.
Well, and that's something people need to think about too. Again, we were already transitioning digital in the first place. So when people were forced to go digital, we had already equipped ourselves with skills and systems and talents and executional styles of ways to service people, when many other people who had maybe denied this digital revolution that was already happening we're caught in a scramble. Now, there are times you can watch professional sports or whatever, and some people are really great out of the scramble. I'm going to tell you that most of the time that's not the truth. If you're two plays ahead of the defense, you're generally going to score more points than if they're on your ass and you got to scramble. And I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing this monstrous, there was a monstrous unemployment dip. It's actually recovered quite well. We're almost back to what it was when Donald Trump became the president. The economy went up and then it dipped really hard for this corona. And it's almost back to where it was already when he started. So which is insane. But my point is there's a lot of people unemployed, a lot of people facing eviction. And in between that dip, people lost their asses. So while they might be coming back to work, they still lost their ass in between. Is it a preparation thing? I know a lot of people lived paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes, some months, good old Petty Boy is in that boat. I have a lot that I invest into my businesses, a lot that I invest in myself. And so, back to Conor McGregor, there's times where he spends every single dime he earned to put himself under the gun to perform at a high level again.
So can I pause you for 1 second and talk about it? There has not been a month in business so far since we have been online in any of my companies where I don't spend almost every fucking dollar back out of it to put back into it again. I just don't do it. I believe so strongly in. You want to know an incredible example of this? And I know to get him on here, but Mr. Beast on YouTube is a phenomenal example. This kid is like 20-something years old, early 20s, making millions of dollars a year. He gave away a fucking island, and he did it in Survivor-style fashion. He spent $800,000 on this island, and then he fucking filmed it, had full crews, probably spent another $100,000 on production, and then literally gave the island away at the end of a 3-video series. Damn. That kid is spending every fucking dollar that he has back into YouTube to grow his brand, to grow his profile, because guess what? He's 20-something years old, and he's going to live a long digital life. So it's just amazing to me that whenever people think that they make $5,000 or $10,000 or their first $100,000 or their first $1 million, and they do it in revenue, $1 million, get the fuck out of here. No, you didn't. You're a liar. You fucking made $1 million in revenue. You didn't make $1 million net. Fuck you. Right. You didn't do what you said you did. So whenever you're telling someone on screen, oh, I made $1 million, you grossed $1 million. You probably spent out $850,000, which is still great margins. But say you made $150,000 online and you grossed $1 million. Like, just tell the truth, because it's so much easier whenever you do, because then you don't have to fucking worry about what the lies you told were. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, we want to be as successful as possible. We want to be as big as possible. Everybody wants to be the champ. There's nothing wrong with that. But be realistic here, folks. Be real with yourself. Because if you are real with yourself, you'll understand that most of the opportunities that come in front of you, you need to be taking every single one of them that you can. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm cool, man.
For sure.
I'm too good for that. There were times where I was doing those gigs and I had a friend, Joe Wilson. Joe Wilson had a company called Joe's Affordable Tree Service. And during the day, when I had left Vegas and I moved back home from doing corporate audio, I lived in St. Louis in my friend's basement playing gigs all over town. And I mean, I lived on floors too, but At one point, I lived in my friend's basement. It's pretty nice. And I would go and I would lug trees that Joe would cut down, and I'd take them and lug them into the tree cutter thing. And I'm going to tell you something. That's hard work.
Sure is.
And he paid me well for it, but that's what I needed to do to have some extra cash to buy strings for the guitar so that I could play. And those jobs were like not every week. Like they were inconsistent gigs. But whenever there was an opportunity for me to do that, I did it. Because that $300 or $400 potentially that I made there, that's good cash. That's good money. I made myself available to do that because I didn't want to work at Best Buy. I made myself available to make $200 or $300 here on that, and $400 or $500 doing the gigs that week, make some good money that week, rather than do something that I don't want to do and be guaranteed X amount of hours and X amount of dollars. I would rather take the risk of making nothing that week, playing the guitar or hauling trees if I needed to avoid sucking my life away for 40 hours a week.
For sure.
So I made myself available for whatever I needed to do to avoid being unavailable for anything I actually wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to think about too.
It's called sacrifice.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have
Joe's Affordable Tree Service. In fact, if you need to get your trees trimmed in St. Louis, Baldwin area, call Joe's Affordable Tree Service. Good old Joe Wilson.
Send them an invoice too.
There you go, Joe. You owe us $80,000 for the promotion.
Yes, sir. But I do have a hard stop. I have a client meeting and a consultation coming up. So
absolutely beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, kick some ass this weekend. It is September 11th. Never forgotten here on this show. We love you all, business and buds. Until next time, episode 10 in the books.